Okay, so Councillor Kelman, Deputy Mayor Fody. So we have Mr. Lackey. So we just need Ms. Leclerc. Oh no, you're online. So I need Mr. Maybe. And I've got, okay. 1, 2, 3, 6. Did you find it? No. And are we live? Yeah. Okay. We are back from our in-camera meeting, just waiting for Councillor Maybe's video to start. But in the meantime, we have a motion coming forward from Councillor Leclerc. Is that you? Okay, just wanted to make sure. I know you did. Councillor Leclerc, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't the wrong person. Seconded by Councillor Lackey, that the Committee of the Whole rise and report from the closed meeting, and that the Mayor report the following outcomes from the closed meeting. Closed meeting minutes of November 3rd, 2025 be adopted as circulated and amended, and they were adopted, and there is nothing further to report. All those in favor? All those opposed? And it is carried. Next item on the agenda is delegations. There are none, and there are no briefings, and there is no public meeting. We have number 9, staff reports, and it's the 9.1 amendment, 2026 amendment to general rates and fees bylaw. The motion comes forward from Councillor Leclerc and seconded by Councillor Kelman, that the Committee of the Whole recommends that Council grant 3 readings and final passage to bylaw number 2026-005, being a bylaw to repeal bylaw 2025-006 and amend bylaw 23-002, being a bylaw to establish general rates and fees for various services provided by the municipality. Okay, folks, so motion is on the floor and the report is before you regarding our general rates and fees. Do we have any questions or comments in regards to that? Go ahead, Councillor Kelman, and then Councillor Antoine Hartley.
Thank you, Your Worship. And through you, just clarification on one thing. The household cleanup card, is that what we used to call the amnesty tag? That we're not going to have that anymore?
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay, so we're not going to have that option for people anymore.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And also just on that note, just a public reminder that there always is hazardous waste material disposals 2 times a year in the United Counties, hosted by the United Counties, one out the South Leeds garage, and then usually one in Spencerville, I think, in and around that area. So, but if you have hazardous goods, please keep your eyes peeled for those dates, because they usually are published well in advance. Any other, Councillor Antoine Hartley, go ahead.
So, thank you, Your Worship. And through you. So, for the most part, I'm fine with most of the schedules. However, I do have a bit of an issue with Schedule E on community services. While I accept the premise that many of our facilities cost more to maintain than they bring back to us in revenue, it's the way it is. I don't think that we should be raising those rates or charging full amounts to some of our volunteer groups that provide community events for residents and give back from those. So by raising those rates, we're shooting ourselves in the foot, because we already have our facilities that people are not renting. We know that as often as they could. So then that's going to make it down the road even harder to maintain those facilities. So many of our community events, and like Frost Fest, Turkey Fair, the ones throughout the township, they are over 30 years. These groups have been working at these organizations and putting on some wonderful activities and for our communities. So a few years ago, I think I spoke in July to the fact that the events permits had become a little bit too onerous for these communities, organizations. So a few,
Are you asking to reduce what's being published, or are you asking to have them removed?
what am I
Get you to
asking? What am I
get your
asking?
ask?
I'm asking that there's some consideration made to the types of events. We have our volunteers that have barriers thrown up on so many levels. And an example I have is the fact that FrostFest. So FrostFest provides a wonderful event for the community and gives back to the community. So 100% of what they make in profit, and there isn't much, but what they make goes back to the community. So in previous years, they haven't had to pay for the use of the facilities. But so, and last year, their revenues were 10,047, expenses 7823, and then their what they returned to the community in the way like the food banks and other other organizations that asked for a little bit of help was 2,223. This year, if their revenue stays the same, their hall rental is $600. They have to rent the basketball court in the park, plus pay a $100 deposit, which comes to $748. So you take that $748 away from that 2,223, and you get 1,400 change, right? So that's 33% going back of what that little organization has worked really hard to bring to their community, coming back to the township. So what I think I'm asking is that they're given some consideration in the rates schedule. So I noticed that they've put in here, there's qualifying entities and individuals, where the rates are considerably lower than what the ones are for the other.
Do we know what those
Sure.
qualifying?
Well, exactly. I'm not sure what those are. Like, and if those volunteer groups, those non-for-profits that are putting on the community events that are giving back to their community, and it's not going in their private little coffers, right? Or it's not a wedding or whatever, that those groups be given some consideration in the fees. And could they be considered a qualifying entity? Because as I said, those fees are considerably less.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Deputy Mayor Fody, anybody else with their hand up?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. Well, I'm glad Councillor Antoine Hartley opened this discussion, because I planned on doing the same tonight on the same subject. I've been watching our fees and such that we've administered a few years back, and we all know the reasons why. But it's really crippling, as you had stated, Councillor, it's really crippling our volunteer groups. And I could go through a whole list of things I've written down here. I'm not going to. I thought I would summarize it tonight by saying any group under the heading of peer, if they're a member of peer, I don't want them to be charged any administration fees of any kind. I don't want them to have to pay for any applications, I don't want them to have to pay for anything. Maybe there's a few exemptions we need to talk about that they should pay for, but we're putting these people out of business, and they're volunteers. They're absolute volunteers. And your numbers right there from 2,200 last year to possibly 1,400 this year, fast forward, there won't be enough to buy themselves coffee the following year. They're going to throw in the towel if they haven't already. We're going to lose our volunteer groups. We won't have any of these events going on because nobody will want to do them. Volunteers are driven through the success of the community. That's what keeps volunteer groups going. We've all played roles in these various volunteer groups. It's a little different across the road here at Lansdowne Fair. That is a profit-driven group that volunteer their time on that fair board. But make no mistake about it, they're sitting on a lot of dollars and assets over there, land alone. So I would like to see if whatever groups, and there may be some following coming down the road. But I would summarize it by saying if they're a member of peer, they don't pay the fees. And it would take a lot of weight off the people that are trying to do good for our communities and all the events they put on. That's just my thought. Thanks.
Counselor, maybe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, I do have a short list of some questions.
Go ahead.
First off, the tax sale. I kind of wondered that when I first seen that, but I did understand what it was with the tax sale of land, and that and the last time we had that happen, we didn't have much administration cost recovery. So that's where that comes from, if I'm correct.
Correct.
Just to verify that people who are seeing this understand that that's what we're doing. It's to cover the costs of actually processing that property. Then on Schedule E, tournament fees, 12 hours. And again, I was thinking of the baseball diamond. Does that mean during that 12 hours that the relining is going to happen, or any repairs that need to be made, or adjustments to the court because of a 12-hour play will happen? Just a curiosity question on that one. Multi-sport field or park, is that the baseball or pickleball or tennis court? Is that the right configuration there? Because it just says multi-court. It doesn't really specify what it might
We have a
entail.
nodding of the head, so that's what it is.
Yep. Court rental, 6 courts, 12 hours, 360, could be 432 if I do the math correctly, if you do it individually. 12 hours, it's a fairly substantial cost.
Things.
And there is a savings, but there's also a cost because, again, falling back to the volunteer group, the volunteers who are using these properties. And I know that there's costs to maintain them too. So I'm not really, it's just that differential. Hall rate clarity. I wrote
So
that
maybe
down.
what they were just asking about in
Yeah,
regards
yeah,
to the
basically.
qualifying
Yep.
groups.
Yep. Okay, then on Schedule F. Let me get down there. F. So waste, commercial and business yard waste. Presently, that does go to our landfill, correct? What happens after? Like, is there,
Commercial yard waste?
well, with what's happened with our landfills right now, it's kind of changed a little bit. And once we go to a different style, which is possibly proposed here in the near future because of our recycling change, what's going to happen to those materials and how are they going to be handled? So there was that question. Let's see here. H. Burn materials outside of permitted hours. There was something listed here, and this is on the
So
fire
that's the
department.
fee, yeah. So if the fire department has to go out
Outside
because you
permitted
are,
hours, because it stated that there was in 2025 nothing, but this year it's $200. Just
because they had
They
a
have to.
huge increase in call outs for
Okay.
burning of illegal stuff.
Yep. And schedule. The other thing with the fire one was, what's an MTO rate? Anybody know that number?
We go with whatever the published rate is. So they actually publish a rate. Is that not correct, Director Holliday? When MTO publishes a rate for what they will pay for, for fire. Sorry, it's
Yeah.
fire, not,
Yeah, I
but
just
I was,
didn't know whether
thinking-
we had a number.
yeah,
Yes, that's,
I think it fluctuates,
no,
meaning it's
Depending
just
on-
whatever the date and
depending on
time
the
it happens.
complexity of the issue.
Correct.
Okay. Just a curiosity question, let's see. And on Schedule I, we talked about the turn off or shut off and turn on of water fees in the event of non-payment. One, is there a duration of time that's actually given them to pay this? And are there any considerations for people who may have a little bit of a hardship in why they're not paying it?
I believe the terms are on every single bill. Mr.
get
Lackey,
lost.
you would be a ratepayer in here in town for many years. Oh, I guess.
And that, something I would just add to the turn on fee, like that's a direct cost recovery from what Aqua charges us to perform the task. So we're getting a bill for that. So this is just to recoup
It's
it as
passed on
a
to the user.
user fee.
But as far as if terms to pay, I think you have what, 30 days, and then it doesn't go into collections until a certain time frame, and then it goes on the tax bill, does it not? Yes.
Okay. Just-
So pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, just trying to get some clarity, make sure that people who are maybe having difficulty aren't getting taxed pretty hard right off.
If people
Short
make
term.
the effort to
Yeah.
reach out before it
Yeah.
goes too far down, usually there's a lot more leniency, I would say.
Okay.
So if you're working with the municipality, whether it's taxes or water and sewer, I would say if you're going through hardship, pay what you can
Mhm.
until
Yep.
times change.
Work, come in and see the people and
Yeah.
deal. That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any answers to any of those questions, or was there, please go ahead, Mr. Holliday? Is your microphone on?
For ball tournaments, we did have a rate of 150 and moving that up to 180. So the question was about the line painting in between. The line painting is actually completed by the users of the field. The municipality provides the equipment to do so, but we don't actually paint those lines. And that's consistent with other municipalities as well, I'm told. The multi-sport courts, you'll see that there was one fee originally of $10. So what we've done is broken out a youth fee, which was reduced 80% compared to the adult sport rate. Instead of just having that singular rate, we have created that hourly youth sport qualified entity for that as a reduced fee. And I believe we've done the same thing for youth ball diamond rental as well, up above, where we had just a singular $20 or $15 fee, and now we've introduced a $10 fee for that purpose. Court rental, that's an interesting one for the tournaments. I have to get more information on that. So that is 12 hours of using all of the courts. They just book the entire facility, and rather than having to book individual courts. So when they are booking for a tournament, they are booking the entire facility, and that just makes it easier to be able to do that.
It also precludes anyone else from going on the courts because they have
booked the entire
they
facility.
booked the entire facility, which is, just to be clear to the public, those courts are available free of charge to be used when not booked. So if they are booked, you are booking it to ensure that no one else is on the court.
Just as a backup question or secondary to that, if lines are repainted on the tennis court to increase by 4 courts on the Lansdowne one, then we'd have 10 courts that would be part of that rental.
Correct. And if we do
If
go that
we
way,
do
then
that,
we would have
yeah.
to look at the
If
rate
we
again
do,
at that
yeah.
point. Yeah. With the hall rentals, most of the rates have actually remained the same. What we've done is broken the kitchen out of the hall rental. Not everybody books the hall. Not everybody books the kitchen. But when you do book the kitchen, it's quite expensive for us to maintain that. Last year alone, with the dishwasher, we invested $15,000 into that to keep it running, just to keep it running. So the costs are really expensive to maintain that. We've also included a 24-hour consecutive rental rate, which wasn't there previously, and it's discounted from the 12-hour rates. So if you add the two 12-hour rates up, the 24-hour rate is actually cheaper for that. The qualified entity and individual is something I do have to get more details on, but in terms of the hourly rates, breaking those out was something that was felt important. And the full day rental for 24-hour consecutive, the example that I was given was you have somebody that sets up for a wedding. They go throughout the wedding, and then they come to the end of the night. They're not looking to clean anything up. They're too tired. They want to come back in the next day. So that covers that cost for them to be able to do that. We now have a rate instead of charging them the consecutive 12 hours multiple times. The commercial yard waste as well.
Just before you get to that, Dave, if I can interrupt, when you come back to the kitchen for a second, like in Lansdowne, there's a flat top grill there. Now, who's supposed to clean it? I guess,
You're supposed to leave it the way you found it.
but if it's not found in a proper condition,
That's what we pay a
Who-
deposit for.
now is there somebody on staff who's going to clean it to that grade then?
So through your worship, the expectation is that the user will leave it in the condition that they found it, and then the subsequent user will fill out their form of how they found the space when they showed up. We get that form from them. If there was a deficiency, then we have that deposit from the previous user. If it doesn't get cleaned, then we do bring cleaners in to clean that for us. Our staff don't clean to that level that's required.
Is there any checking by the staff at all then?
Yes, the staff do
Staff themselves
inspections
go
as
in and
well.
verify it?
What makes it challenging for us is that our staff don't work Saturdays and Sundays, which a lot of the bookings are.
Yeah.
So we rely on that paperwork
Right.
to notify us if there are some deficiencies.
Okay.
And then we go back on the deposit at that point. With the commercial yard waste, what we're finding is we're receiving a lot of contractors that are cleaning up people's yards and bringing the yard waste to the waste site. With that material, we do have to process it a couple times a year, and that costs about $25,000 every time we bring a unit in to mulch all of that. So it's recouping some of that cost as a
Okay.
result of having to provide that service. And then the shut off fee, the aqua recovery, the director of corporate services covered that one off as well too.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, I have the treasurer who also wanted to make some comments.
Through you, Mayor. Yeah, I was just gonna speak to the qualifying groups, because this back a year ago or prior to the reorg, this was through Tracy and McKenna. So basically, per the facility use policy, it applies for any group, organization, individual that are resident in the township if they're renting a township facility for events to provide a benefit to the community or to fundraise, i.e., someone doing it to put on Frost Fest would qualify as a
So they would not be paying the $600.
they would pay the discounted qualified entity rate per the policy. It's more, the full rates are more meant if you're hosting a private function, i.e. a wedding or whatnot, then you're going to pay the full rate. If you're renting a facility to put on a community event, you can qualify for this kind of rate because there is a community benefit to that.
Councillor Antoine Hartley, does that answer that question for you?
Yes, that does. So our community groups that are putting on the events are considered the qualifying. Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
and does that satisfy you?
Assuming it's not a private function for that community group. If it's open to the public as a community event, then yes.
So the reason I asked that is because of all the other questions that have been answered or asked this evening. I think most of them answers have been provided reasonably. But it's the user group stuff. So I just want to make sure before we accept the user rates and bylaws that everybody's on the same page. Go ahead.
And just one other point through you, Mayor, I would say is communicate with the community grant program too. There are often times that we encourage groups that we can cover rental facility fees otherwise through the community grant process as well, if they are putting it on. So, for example, Girls Inc. at the Lansdowne, when they rent the
Community
Lansdowne
building.
facility, they often include that in the community grant application to be considered as part of that process as well. So
Okay.
we do encourage things like that.
So conceivably, the Lions Club could put in a community grant request that has Frost Fest covered, as well as something else, or Sabara.
Through you, I think because they do want to give something back to community, they would be taking from the community to give back. Do you know what I mean?
No, because the community grants come from the casino money.
Okay.
So it's not from the community. It's
Mhm.
from the visiting public who
Yeah.
leaves their pennies at the casino that we gratefully acknowledge.
Anyways, but Canada, they will gladly take.
So I would highly recommend that you put in a community grant for that. So, okay, any further comments or questions in regards to the rates and fees? Okay, I will call the question. The motion is on the floor. All those in favor? All those opposed? And it is carried. Okay. Next item is staff reports, 2026 adopted municipal operating and capital budgets. So if anybody does recall, the process changed this year slightly. We had passed the motion to accept or adopt, or however the verbiage was, I don't recall. All I know is there was a 30-day waiting period after December the 12th. So as of January the 12th, because we received no objections to the budget that had been passed, and I did not use my strong mayor power to veto anything or anything of that nature. The budget was considered adopted and passed. So this is information for the public. This is what it will be instituted once we know what the overall tax rate is, and I'll get that. I'll talk about it in my mayor's remarks regarding the county levy change, because obviously this is just pertaining to the municipal portion, not the county portion. Any comments or questions? Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. It doesn't pertain to this year's budget because of the level it's at, meaning it's low. But should we get into a budget some year that's 12% or something on the high side, I wouldn't want to approve this prior to knowing what the county was doing. We could end up throwing a 20% increase at our residents, meaning I wouldn't want to approve this if it was going to be exceedingly high. We could peel this back and try and soften the blow a bit. I wouldn't, like I said, it doesn't apply to this year, but I want to make the statement prior to, if I'm still on council going forward for other budgets, I would be awful hesitant to want to approve our budget when we didn't know what the total picture is.
Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll move forward with information items, which, oh, sorry, Councillor Claire, my apologies.
Yeah, thank you. And through you, just a quick comment about the 30 days, because I think there was some confusion in the community about that. So there was a 30-day opportunity for people to provide feedback. And I guess just in future years, we'll just make sure that we are super clear about that.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
So I'll make that comment right here and now, that should anybody have concerns about the budget that is adopted by council, you have 30 days to reach out to your respective council members or bring forward something in writing that can be circulated to members of council through the clerk. But that if we receive nothing that is weird or wonderful, I don't know how else to describe it, good, bad, or otherwise, that the budget would be considered adopted as per the legislation. Okay, there are no other information items. And number 12 is rise and report minutes from committees, working groups, and local boards. So the peer group minutes are there for review, as well as the library board. Are there any comments or questions in regards to the minutes? Seeing none, notices of motion. Mr. Lackey, you had a notice of motion?
Through your worship, yes, I do. I'll just maybe preface this by saying that this kind of derived from a conversation at the OPP board, detachment board. Wanted to recognize that our fire department was held very highly from the OPP and the accident that we've had down here in the 401 a couple of weeks ago, which incidentally had some nuclear waste involved in the accident. It was suggested that the OPP couldn't do their job without the fine people that we have back here
Nice.
at Leeds Fire. Now, in part of that conversation, we talked about resources and logistics on how everything went down and how things work so well. And it just struck me that we're basically doing this for the province. We had almost every resource that we had here. We had departments covering off. We had Gananoque. We had several units out there endangering their lives, and we don't seem to get any extra money for doing that. And I really wanted to get support from the municipalities along the 401 corridor to challenge the province to say, hey, you know what, we're going over and above here by trying to keep people on the 401 safe. In the meantime, we're sacrificing our residents here. Let's maybe see if you can provide us some resources or money for resources. Because right now it's the municipality paying for our
Covered.
people to be out there on the 401. So I would like to send
So
out either a.
Would that be a delegation at AMO?
Yes, or a simple sending to have councils, respected councils.
Motion? Okay.
Yeah, a motion to
Okay.
support that so that every municipality in the 401 who experiences this gets a
Fair shake.
fair shake.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a notice of motion coming forward to next week. Any further notices of motion? Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. This is more like a letter with regard to the provincial government bill C-68 regarding the OMERS pension plan. The conference, Roma conference, made it crystal clear, listening to all the members from around the province in that room, how many municipalities, and I would dare say most, if not all, were seriously disappointed that it was even being considered to be tampered with, let alone some of the things that are being done, with no consultation whatsoever. The Ford government has taken it upon themselves that this is the way we're going to do it. And I think rather than sit back and say nothing, we need to say a lot more than that. I mentioned a couple of months ago, when we have time, I'd like to see Steve Clark attend a meeting here. This has expedited that. I'd like to see Steve Clark here by next month if he can. I know his schedule isn't always free and clear, but there's a number of questions. If he's representing us at that provincial level, there's a number of questions that we should be asking him to convey on our behalf. And sorry.
So if he comes as a delegation,
Mhm.
it's a delegation comes where he's just presenting information to us. We can ask questions or make comments for clarifying purposes, but it doesn't provide an opportunity for debate. So all I'm saying is we can absolutely ask him to attend and provide us an update. If we give him a list of topics we'd like him to speak on, he then delegates to us. We can ask questions, but it doesn't become a back and forth.
Well, are we better off to do a delegation to him? Are we better off to send some representatives
If-
to his
if-
constituency office and speak to him directly?
I would say that the constituency office is open at any given time.
Right.
That to make an appointment to meet with him at any time. If it's something that you want to be a position of the municipality to go as a group, because you feel strongly about this, but we haven't discussed it at the
No,
table at
sure.
any length. In order for this to go forward to Steve Clark in regards to a position of the municipality, it would need to be a notice of motion to come forward to have further debate or information shared so that everybody's on the same page.
Okay, well, why don't I just make it a request that at the next meeting, if possible, that we have this as a subject line to talk about.
Okay,
won't
so
take
that's a
long.
notice of motion.
It's still a notice of motion, it is.
Okay.
But we may not be able to get it on next week, for instance, but
Okay.
you know, there's just too many mistakes made with this bill C-68. They're gonna upset an apple cart that has no reason being upset. I mean, the OMERS program, the staff that every municipality has, not just ours, I don't want to see that upset, because you know where that's going to lead? They're going to go to the private sector, and every municipality is going to be stuck with the employees they wish they'd never seen. And that's being crass and bottom line it. But we've got the best of the best right here now. It really rubs me the wrong way that anyone, and I don't care if he's a premier of Ontario or not, would dare stick his fingers into something that isn't broken.
Okay, so we look forward to that notice of motion. Any other notices of motion? I have no other hands up. So next is statements or announcements from councillors. Go ahead, Councillor Calman, then Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Your Worship. And for you, I have two things. One is kind of feedback from a local board, because I attended my first Cataraqui Conservation board meeting last week. It was also their AGM. So it was trial by fire for me. But it was a great meeting. I just wanted to convey to council that the biggest concern at that level right now is the consolidation of the conservation authorities being proposed by the provincial government, which I'm sure everyone is aware of. I guess it was mentioned quite a bit at Roma. There is across the board, all conservation authorities in Ontario are opposed to consolidation, and they have at least 120 municipalities that have sent resolutions to the government in opposition to it as well. So it's really leaving our local conservation authority kind of in limbo right now because they don't know when and what is going to happen. There's been no timeline given. So they're just going ahead with everything that they do and all of their programming. But the key areas of concern are governance, maintaining that, because the local staff have knowledge of our local area. So maintaining the staff, maintaining that local knowledge, maintaining that local governance. And I think that's the same reasons being expressed by all of the conservation authorities. On a brighter note, Cataraqui Conservation planted a record number of trees in 2025, 300,000, bringing their grand total to over 6 million. And so basically just going back to the consolidation, they just think it's really important that municipalities stay very engaged in this process. So I will be conveying that information to you. And my other thing I just wanted to mention, because everyone knows I'm a school bus driver, this has not been a fun winter so far for school bus drivers or any drivers, but I drive a lot of back roads really early in the morning. So I just want to say I have been very, very impressed, particularly with the blowing snow conditions that we've had. I've been so impressed with our crews. And also, I mentioned to Mayor Smith-Gacki the other day at an event, which she's probably going to talk about, so I won't. We've all seen in the news that the province is short on salt. We just saw City of Brockville is running short on salt. And I said, are we short on salt? And she said, no, because we have Dave. So thank you to the director and to our staff for looking after us as well as you do and planning ahead. And that's all I have.
Okay. Counselor Maybe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. I was going to bring up about the sign bylaw that which we had looked at a couple times, and it was brought up before the last election. And since this is election year, maybe we need to revisit it because I know there's a couple of things of concern in that sign bylaw.
I'm trying to
Basically,
remember what
placement.
that sign bylaw was about.
Yeah, we haven't had an election
Oh,
since.
the
No.
clerk has it underhand. I'll
Yeah.
turn it to the clerk.
Are you talking about the sign bylaw or the election sign bylaw?
Election sign bylaw.
So I will caution you on that. There have been election sign bylaws that have gone through the court process very recently. And the court has determined that several of the aspects within those bylaws are an infraction against the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, specifically freedom of speech. So I would caution you about what you want to put in that over and above what we already have.
Well, I think we need to revisit it. That's why I'm kind of bringing it up because there were some concerns over the last election where some signs were placed and that which were deemed inappropriate. So I'm kind of going, and the bylaw, the sign bylaw was originally brought up through Councillor Lackey. So to have signs taken down on a more speedy process.
Oh, you're talking about having.
That's how that happened, but I know
Okay.
that.
I
then
couldn't
our-
remember what it was.
Then our election bylaw morphed into something totally different than what we thought we were going into. So that's why I'm kind of saying,
So you're talking about changing the bylaw to make sure that signs are taken down in a prescribed time frame.
well, the election signs always were,
Oh.
always have been. It's just that where they're being placed. And that was one of the constraints of our election sign bylaw that happened, that which I thought was not quite correct. So.
Through your worship. Yeah, the placement and where they're allowed to be placed is definitely a contentious matter. And that is absolutely one thing through the courts that municipalities are getting their hands slapped over restricting that.
Mhm. So that's part of my bigger question of that one, so.
So we can bring it up. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, through you. Our election sign bylaw is pretty clear in that the only areas you really can't put election signs are within MTO controlled intersections
And municipal properties.
and islands. Like, so if you're turning and there's a left turn island or a right turn island, if there's traffic directing islands, you're not allowed to put signs in there. There were very few signs we took down under the last election. The few that we did remove were either in MTO controlled areas or they were in the wrong district because you're only allowed to have election signs up in the district in which you're running. So we didn't remove very many signs in the last election. With respect to the sign bylaw, it refers to the zoning bylaw and says that signs need to be placed as per structures based on their setbacks. So it's pretty general. But then in terms of how long signs can be up, like real estate signs and those types of things, that's something that we don't have right now.
Yeah, and that was the number one question that started all this.
Oh, okay.
The
Because of
election
the,
sign bylaw is very clear about when election signs have to be removed.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, then.
But so you're really talking about the sign bylaw, not the election sign bylaw.
Well, the election sign bylaw has a little bit to play in it too, so.
Okay, well, if you want that to come back to council, I would suggest that you speak to staff in regards to getting
Okay.
that onto an agenda. Any other, oh, sorry, go ahead, Councillor Leclerc.
No, thank you. And through you, just a reminder that the Rockport Winter Carnival is February 11th. So it starts on the Wednesday until the Sunday, which is the 15th. It's at the Rockport Rec Hall and the barn.
In the barn. Okay. Okay, or Deputy Mayor Fody, and then Councillor Antoine Hartley.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. I was remiss in mentioning last meeting. I overlooked. I wanted to mention a thank you we owed our own firefighters. I know our fire chief isn't able to be here with us tonight, but during the Christmas holidays, I'm sure most of us saw that our firefighters volunteered to take one of our fire boats up to Wolf Island and sailed out of Kingston, I believe, to help. I don't know what the situation was. I really don't.
Medical call.
Pardon me? It was medical?
Call.
I know it had to be something serious for them to respond to it, but I was just proud of the fact that of all the jurisdictions that, given the greater Kingston area, that it was our fire department that responded to it. So kudos to them, and hopefully all turned out well if it was a medical call. But it was great to see, and I know that the few videos that were shot on shore of people saying thank you to them as they were kicking the boat out into the water to get going. But it was a great gesture as being a good neighbor in time of need.
Go ahead.
Through you, Chair. Just Frost Fest is coming up, don't forget. I just wanted to ask for some clarification. So one of the things that was sent to the Frost Fest committee last week was a facility use waiver and release form, which they understood they were to have everybody sign so just need some clarification as to what is the expectation, because kind of takes a little bit of a damper every time you walk into an event with your kids and you have to sign a waiver for that. So just want to
Okay.
clarification on what was the expectation in being sent that.
Okay. So we can definitely have staff address that after the meeting.
Best to contact the staff person you've been dealing with to ask that question.
So it would be Alex Johnson, or yes. So if we can get a hold of Alex tomorrow and sort that. Any other statements or announcements? Okay. On to the mayor's update. Just wanted to say thank you to members of council who came to Roma. So Councillor Antoine Hartley and Deputy Mayor Fody, along with myself, attended Roma. We had one delegation on behalf of the municipality in regards to municipal drains. And it was a very successful delegation, basically making the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and it's not rural affairs anymore, aware that many people are moving from urban centers out into rural areas and are unaware that they are on a municipal drain. So it's causing challenges in lots of rural communities whereby there needs to be something on title to the property so that when people actually go to purchase property, it's like an easement. It's like a hydro easement or what have you. It's registered so that people know what they're getting themselves into. Because while there may not be anything that happens for 20, 30, 40 years, in some cases, when it does happen and then they get a bill, they get quite upset. And so this was news to the minister and the deputy minister who were in the delegation. And they handed me a fact sheet. And I said, with all due respect, you can hand me the fact sheet. But I said, if someone goes to look up a property on GIS or any of that stuff, unless they're looking specifically on a drainage map, it does not come up. And people don't, if they're buying a house with 3 acres attached to it, they don't think about looking at drainage maps. So neither do lawyers. Yes. And when they do title searches, they're looking for historical transfers and any weird anomalies with the transfers there and any easements or instruments, if you want to call them that, on title. So our suggestion is that they should start to register municipal drains on title so that people are at least aware that they are on a municipal drain. So that went well. I was also party to many other delegations for both the county and the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus. Met with the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Long-Term Care Minister. I can't remember them all right at the second. Anyways, very busy conference, very good conference. Again, record-breaking numbers of people who were there. I think one of the nicest things that I did see that changed from year over year was the Rural Inspiration Awards that the Minister of Rural Affairs did, recognizing contributions in rural Ontario. And one of the recipients of that was Burnbrae Farms. So Burnbrae employs a lot of people in our area. They are an agricultural business, and they have many, many warehouses in other jurisdictions, but this is where they call home, is Leeds County. So we're very, very fortunate for that. Thank you for the Frost Fest reminder and the Winter Carnival. Frost Fest, I'm going to be missing the fireworks this year, and I'm very disappointed about that because I made another commitment without realizing the date. I will, however, be able to get down. I will be coming during the day, but I'll be able to get down to Rockport, which I'm very excited about as well. Always a good time. But the two big things that I would like to talk about is the county budget, which is still at 2.43% increase, which is a great number to come in, will help us come in. Our overall would be estimated, I think, to be 2.43 is what the county number is. So with our overall would be just over 3, so 3.2, which in inflationary times like this, I think is pretty remarkable. And we're keeping everything in check and maintaining what we have. So, the county budget hasn't been finalized yet, but we're at this point not looking at increasing it. So I would say that within the next few weeks, we will see that budget approved, and that is under the old process, because the strong mayor legislation does not apply at the county level at this point. So that is good news that we can get it done fairly quickly and succinctly. Lastly is the G. Tackerberry Family Home. So very, very grateful for the members of council who made the effort to be there for the donor recognition. It was an incredible event. So the ribbon cutting was on Wednesday, and Parliamentary Assistant John Jordan was there on behalf of the minister who was away. They're very, very proud of our facility. Our facility has been known as one of the best constructed in the right time frame and within budget. So we still have part of our contingency left. We did it in a reasonable time frame with one minor hiccup here at the end, which delayed us somewhat. The ministry is coming in to inspect, I believe, this week to commission the home to allow for people to move from the old home into the new home. It is a beautiful facility. It is bright, it is airy, it looks out on to fields. And it, for members of our community who have been used to living in a rural area, it really is the most beautiful place to be. So I'd like to thank all of the people who work there, who take care of our loved ones and make it a home versus a facility. And I do have one last thing to say. Happy birthday, Angie Kelman. So Councillor Kelman's birthday is today. I am not going to say how old she is, so, because I, value my tires. Anyways, so any other comments or anything I've missed? Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. Just a question about the Tackerberry home. Some questions that came up after seeing it is it's a nonprofit, right? It isn't for profit?
Correct. It's municipally owned and run. So we actually, the county, I believe our operating budget, the old home with only 60 beds, we were subsidizing that home to the tune of $3.2 million a year for 60. And I believe it's 2.6. We've got it down to with 192 beds.
So the old facility, will it still be in use?
Not as of right now. So the goal is to put in a daycare. And there was some other presentations that had come forward. There was talk about putting in like seniors apartments and things like that. Nothing's been decided at this point, mainly because we wanted to make sure that this came in on budget and didn't overrun. So because whatever project we undertake at the old Mapleview will likely cost some money.
Yeah.
And we have, it's an $86 million project. It's the largest that United Counties has ever undertaken. And it was a big, big project. So we want to make sure that everything's financially okay.
So the new home has how many beds?
192. So it's 132 net new beds.
Yeah, very good. And what was the other question? There's a waiting list and
Yeah, I think there was a waiting list of 272 or something. But I was speaking, the head of the Brockville General Hospital said that right now there's 23 people at Brockville General waiting for beds. So even if, and those are people that have to be medically supervised. Some people are at home being cared for by family, loved ones, that are waiting for beds as well. So we have no question that we will fill them very quickly. Even with other homes being put up, like Wellington House in Prescott, there was one in Kempville that opened not too long ago. We know that we haven't even seen the crest of the boomer generation at this point. So we know that there's going to be a need.
And one other question, what's the base cost for going in there?
It's on the ministry website. I don't know right off the top of my head. I want to say that we get base funding. They're considered Class A beds. We have Class A beds at Mapleview. So whatever the province pays us for that, that's what we get paid. And that's what the average, we can't overcharge.
No.
Because we're not for profit.
Right. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I don't think I've missed anything else. Okay. So last is motion to adjourn, moved by Councillor Leclerc, seconded by Councillor Kelman, that the committee of the whole adjourn at 7:49 p.m. All those in favor? All those opposed? And we're carried. Thanks, everybody.